Hey everyone, today we're going to learn about Leave No Trace number 6, Respect Wildlife. And I want to learn about respecting wildlife using some of the other principles that we've learned about. So Leave No Trace number 1 is planning ahead and preparing. So knowing what kind of wildlife is going to be in the area you're visiting is really smart. Leave No Trace number 2, that walking and camping on durable surfaces, you want to avoid going into different habitats and homes of animals. Number 3 was all about picking up litter. If you remember, we had you go out around Earth Day, pick up litter. So if you leave things like bottles and plastic, not only will animals maybe use it to build homes, but they might eat or ingest some of the things, which isn't good for them either. For today's challenge, we're going to concentrate on combining Leave No Trace number 4 with our newest principle, which is leave what you find. One way to really respect wildlife is to observe it from far away, or learning more about it by studying its tracks. So Miss Emma is going to join me and we're going to show you some different tips and tricks for observing and identifying different wildlife tracks. Let's go see what she has to teach us.
Hi everybody! So we are going to be looking at how to measure some things with tracks, but we're just going to measure on me to start with, and then you can either do this with any tracks you find out in the forest, or you can do this with your own tracks. One thing you're going to need is something like a ruler or a tape measure, kind of whatever you have on hand. So let's see, we can pretend that I am walking over here and I would be leaving tracks, but it's going to be hard to see on the video, so I have these yellow things that we'll put down. So let's see, 1 foot is right here, and then the other foot's right here. There are 2 different things that you can measure with tracks. The first one is called straddle, and that is how far apart your feet are. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from the inside of 1 foot to the inside of the other. So there are my 2 tracks, and I can kind of follow this one back, and let's see, it goes to about here. So then I'm going to take the ruler and I'm going to go from the inside of that track to the inside of this track, and that is about 23 centimeters, which is also about 9¼ inches. So that's the straddle. So now I picked up these tracks because when we are doing stride, you actually measure from the toe of 1 foot to the toe of the same foot when it lands on the ground again. So I'm going to put this down where this foot is, and then put this down where that same foot falls again, and I'm going to measure from toe to toe. Since that's longer than my ruler, I'm going to have to move my ruler and keep track of the inches. So starting at the toe, we have 12 inches to here, so I'm going to mark where that is and then move it down. And now that's 24 inches, but it's still not there. 36 inches, but we have a little bit more to go. 36 plus 8½ is 44 inches. So my straddle, which is how far apart my feet are, is about 9¼ inches. And my stride, which is the toe of my left foot to the toe of my left foot, the next step, is, what did we say?
44.
44½. So I've measured these on myself, and you can do a couple things. You can measure this on some tracks on the ground, or you can measure it on yourself too. This is really useful for telling you things like how big the animal is that left the tracks, and sometimes even how fast they were moving.
Thanks, Miss Emma, that was awesome. Now let's see what your assignment or challenge, whatever you want to call it, is going to look like. Your challenge for Leave No Trace number 6 is to create your own field guide page, either about yourself or about the animal you found. So a field guide, here's some good examples, is a book or a pamphlet, and it usually has things like where animals live and what their tracks look like and what they eat, their sizes, things like that. So you're going to make a field guide page either about an animal that you studied or about yourself. Miss Emma is making you an example of what a field guide page would look like if it was about yourself. Miss Emma, do you want to come over and show us what you've made?
Okay, here is my field guide page. So some things I have on here are my name. I have a nice little self-portrait because field guides always have a picture. And I have the picture of my tracks. So I have the straddle, which is how far it is from like the inside of one foot to the inside of the other. And I have the stride, which I measured from my left toe to my left toe. And then I have some information like my height and my habitat and some food I like to eat. You can also add things like group size or preferred weather or whatever else you want. I'm excited to see what you find.